What's up, you guys? Watching this video, I've got Marco here, community member since when? How long have you been in, Marco?
I think I joined in early June.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Early June. So at the time of recording, what, 2.5 months before the community? Like yeah, about
hmm
3 months ago, right? So 3 months in, man. What were you up to? What kind of background did you have?
I mean, regarding sales, I didn't have any background. I guess some offers I was like testing out to see how it would be, but mainly solar. I feel like a lot of people start there for their first offer. But I was also going to school. I was in college, and I had taken a break to really see where I wanted to go and what direction I wanted to point my life in. And then I just came across a bunch of different, sales. Um, I don't know what you call them, gurus or people on Twitter that help other people. And I came across Dylan, and before I even joined, I think I followed him like in March. So I was like 2 months in before I even joined. I just wanted to see like what it was all about. I didn't want to like pay for another community that I didn't find value in, or that it was just
Yeah.
gonna be like BS. Um, but yeah, like it was pretty genuine and looked like he was actually helping people, and just like his story kind of inspired me to kind of jump in and actually do it.
Cool.
So I joined and I started seeing the process. He has this video. I mean, I'm not sure, like the updated version now, but he shows you how to find the jobs that are like worth, taking on, and how to pretty much qualify them, and then going through like the interview, whatever, and then how to carry yourself through the interview. So I was like, okay, cool. So I started doing that. I started in Facebook, all the groups. I joined like a bunch of them, and I was just filtering fast, looking through the ones that were good, looking through the ones that were bad. And I came across a good one, well, which seemed like a good one, So I applied and I kept following up. And I actually got the job because I followed up like multiple times with the guy that was hiring. Like he didn't even like interview me after that. He just said you're like the only one that followed up after, you know, I don't know, multiple times. I was like, all right, cool. Like, let's start. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I got onboarded and I started working there. I got like my first PIF, I think, by the end of the week, or I think it closed on at the end of the week, and then it PIFed the following week on Monday. And after that, I was just consistent, ramping up, I guess, the amount of closes that I was getting, and it got to a point, where I got to the top of the leaderboard, and it didn't just happen. I think just because I was putting in work, but I was also like listening to all my calls, listening to all the closers calls, like the top performers, reading a bunch of different books, following different people on Twitter, and what
Yeah.
they had to say. Um, but yeah, I
Okay.
mean, now I'm
So
here.
you definitely put in the work, but it was just like it was, where I'm not gonna call it luck, but where like luck meets preparation, that's where opportunity happens, right? So you just
Yeah.
so happened to like land the interview with this company, and then you followed up, and
hmm
you obviously put in the work, and then once you landed it, you got better. Um, what were the things like? Because obviously you're scavenging through these Facebook groups, like what were some of the things that you were looking for or like trying to stay away from?
Oh yeah, so definitely one of them is those posts with a bunch of emojis. Those are horrible. Um, the cash collected, if they like mention that in there, a lot of them won't mention it in the initial post, but once they follow up with you, and they have someone text you, or
Yeah.
whatever, you want to make sure that they're performing at a certain level to where you can make that a good amount of money, right? Like if you're performing. So that's what caught my eye with this offer. They were at the time, they were doing seven figures. I think 1.3 mil per month at the time when I joined. They scaled that up a bit at this point, but that really attracted my eyes to join, because if they're doing that much and I do, like, let's say 1% of that or whatever, like I'm still making a ton of money.
Yeah.
So I just had to put in the work to, get a fraction of the pie of what they're doing per month.
Yeah.
Um, and it ended up working out.
How many interviews did you take before you took that one?
I went through like 8 different ones. I actually got on 2 different offers. One of them was like, the life insurance one that everyone kind of gets filtered through. Another one was a solar company. And yeah, I did that one for a week and it was just not good. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I just didn't like it, and no one was making money, like in the group that I was in. So I was like, if they're not making money, they're experienced. Like, what am I gonna do? I'm brand new to this. So I just, left that and yeah, joined this one. So it's my third one that I actually kind of went through. But in terms of interviews, I've went through at this point over 20. But
Yeah. It's a
before
skill,
I
man.
landed that first one, what was
Yeah,
that?
so interviewing is a skill. Like you get better at it as you continue to do it, and then you also learn more, and just like actually selling. The more interviews you take, the better you
Yeah,
get.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so you had some gigs that didn't really pan out, and I'll be honest, like a lot of guys that transition into high ticket sales, that's pretty standard. Like it happened with me. Like my first gig, I got onto my first real one. It was like a YouTube automation coaching program, and they were doing 80 grand a month, but it was a small team.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
but before that, I had taken on a part-time role. I was the only sales rep. There was no infrastructure, and it's like I feel like it's a rite of passage to get on those bad ones so that you know what to
Yes.
stay away from.
Oh yeah.
And then, I mean, eventually you just stuck to it, and it didn't seem like it took that long after you got into the community. Like from when you joined the community to you onboarding onto like this actually good offer, and it was in the real estate space. Like, how
Yeah.
long was that?
Oh, I guess that was like less than 2 weeks. Probably the first week. I'm not. I'd have to check, but the other offers that I was talking about, that was before I joined yours, because
Hmm.
yours, kind of get filtered, so you're
Right.
getting like higher quality ones, right?
Yeah.
So it was probably like less than 2 weeks. Yeah,
Yeah. That's. Yeah. I mean,
it was
I
pretty
remember
fast.
you've been updating me like as time goes on, and I'm always happy to like see the updates from guys inside like crushing it.
Mm.
So that's good. And you're still on the same one, right? And this is like 3 months later.
Yeah, yeah, still in the same one. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. What you know, being on, coming from not you had a little sales experience technically, we'll call it that, right? But like
Yeah.
going
Yes.
from, college student trying to figure out the direction you want to take things and then now being on this team being like literally top performer, um, what are some of like the key takeaways that you've had so far in this short time? Like what would you tell someone else who's brand new that's like just starting out wants to crush it?
If, they're really serious about starting out, I would say just, start somewhere and then build those skills, and then, try to move up to different offers that, offer you better pay, better trainings as well. Um, but just doing it, like
Hmm.
not being scared of, calling someone or, talking to people.
Yeah.
Um, the sales experience that I had, it was just a coffee shop barista. Like,
Yeah.
so it was not anything crazy. Like I was, upselling people or like a car salesman or anything like that. That's
Yeah.
all I had in terms of sales and customer care service.
Yeah.
But it definitely helps.
Do you feel like you are kind of, a pretty decent natural salesperson, or have you had to like work pretty hard at becoming comfortable with it?
I think I worked a good amount, just because I was never really, I guess, I don't know what the word is, but I didn't want to do that. Like I feel like that's not what a lot of people want to do initially. Like, oh, like I want to do sales. Like, I want to grow up and be a sales guy. But so I had to get comfortable with the fact that I'm in that industry, in that space, and I guess tonality, you know,
Yeah.
before that it was just like, oh, you got to be fast and high pitch, whatever. But it's totally not like that.
Yeah.
So I had to work on, slowing down and keeping it calm and just not come off as a salesman.
Yeah. Yeah. That's huge. I mean, everyone. I don't think anyone grows up and wants to be a salesman, and everyone. It's probably because of that notion that people think like, oh, salespeople have to be crazy and like energetic and talk
Yeah.
to everyone and push people super hard. It's like, no, it's not really that. Like honestly, at least for me, it's the opposite of that, right?
Yeah.
It's like being the salesperson that I am, like I want to sell as little as possible, which is funny how that
Hmm.
works. But um, okay, man. Well, I feel like as far as the community goes, I mean, I feel like so far what you've shared has been insightful for anyone who's like looking to get into this. As far as the community goes, like outside of you just stumbling across the opportunity inside, like what are some other things that were able to kind of help you as you move through this?
Like outside of the community?
Outside of like the job posts inside. So like
Oh,
just being in the community, like does anything else stand
yeah.
out?
Yeah, I guess the different people you can talk to in there and like, get an insight on what offers they're on and what they're doing,
Yeah.
how much they're making, their commissions, their wins.
Yeah.
And it's really the community is really supportive. They'll like, pump you up for your wins and then, they'll kind of lift you up for whatever
Yeah.
losses you have. So I feel like that helps a lot, especially when you're starting out, because if you're trying to do this like alone, you probably will take a lot longer to, get used to the industry and actually, making money if you're doing it alone. I mean, I'm not saying you can't do it, but
Right, you
it
can.
just helps. Yeah, you definitely can. I just feel like it's gonna take a lot longer if you're doing it
Mhm.
alone than, if you're in a community and everyone's, helping
Yeah.
you.
And it's like there's nothing wrong with doing it the long way, but it's like, dude, we're talking about making money here. It's like time is money,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
just like I mean, I did the same thing when I got into high ticket sales. I paid somebody and then I like was just instantly connected to opportunities and people doing it and it just made it
Hmm.
so much easier. Um, and so yeah, I mean, I'm glad you had a similar experience. Um, I wanted to ask you, so as far as like, you got in 2 weeks in, landed the job. From going, were you a barista like right before this, or like what were you
So
doing right
yeah,
before?
I was doing that and I tried doing both because I kind of wanted to have that safe net.
Yeah,
But before I even like landed the job, I was trying to, work a ton of more hours, save up to have a little cushion.
yeah,
But even then, I was trying to work that job and the offer at the same time. And then I got way more invested into the offer that I couldn't, go into the coffee shop. So I got fired from there. But like I was already making money, so I was just like, oh, it's cool. Like, I had to do it at one point.
yeah,
And it honestly helped just putting my full focus and attention into the offer and going all in because
yeah,
you're it's kind of like you're backed up, so now you have to like really succeed at it.
yeah, yeah, man. I'm looking at our messages here, and that's the same thing that I did. I like literally put my back against the wall. I quit
Hmm.
my job, like my cozy sales job, to like go all in because I knew this. I knew this could work. I just knew it would work so much faster if I like jumped in with 2 feet. Um,
Right.
I'm looking at our messages now, and on July 16th, you were like, "Hey man, just finished my first month and cleared 5K on the month,
Yeah.
literally month one, and I'm pretty sure month two, I think you made a little bit more than 5K, right?
Yeah, I think so. That's when I had like a like a massive week. Like I
Yeah,
made 3,000, like 300, I think, in 1 week.
as an appointment setter.
Yeah, yeah, it was just appointment
That's
setter.
solid. Yeah,
It's
and
not
then
even
you're
like closing money. It was appointment setting.
right. Yeah, 3,300 in 1 week as an appointment setter. And clearly, like this offer is, it's no joke. I mean, it's a real estate offer. I'm not gonna say which
Mhm.
one. I'm not gonna dox like that. You were able to wholesale a property with what you learned through the thing, and also made, you said, like 4 grand on the side. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
so
I
like
ended up wholesaling one.
pretty decent ROI, man. Pretty like joined the community, got connected, had the support. Obviously, you
Hmm.
did a lot of work on your end, like reviewing your calls, putting in the hours. Like I know you put in the hours. I know for a fact. Um,
Yeah,
and then even just before we started recording, you and I were talking about like potential opportunities now, and we're talking about that because you're connected to the guys in the community. So
yeah, yeah.
it just goes to show, man. I think you're a really good example. Like you've heard about this thing, you committed to it, you like
Hmm.
went all in, you put in the work, and now like you're in a position where you're making money, and
Hmm.
you kind of have doors open because you're meeting people, and again, we talked about kind of the plans that you have moving forward. It's just bigger and
Yeah,
better things, right? So
yeah. And I guess going back to that, I remember talking to some people within the community who couldn't take me because I didn't have experience. But now that I have experience, I kind of reach back out to them and it's like, oh, okay, like now we can
yeah,
talk. Now that I have like something to show for like, oh, I hit this much cash collected, like these are the amount of dials that I put in, like
yeah.
this is how I carry myself in the calls, like so it
Hmm.
definitely helps.
You Yeah, you got on with a big team, and like once you get that big name under your belt, there's a lot of places that are going to take you. So I mean, whenever the time comes, like it's the natural progression is setter to closer, right? Whenever the
Hmm.
time comes to be a closer, like having this on your resume, because I know those setting calls are pretty long. You're basically closing them, like you're
Yeah.
basically doing it
Pretty much.
already. Um, yeah, dude, it's just going to look really good. Like I think you're between that, people and just, I mean, how old are you again?
I just turned 22.
Okay, so still
Yeah.
early, bro. It's still early.
Yeah.
I think it's just a matter of time until you're like in a really, really nice spot. So,
Hmm.
um, I feel like we covered a lot of stuff, like just kind of walking through things, what you've been able to do in such a short amount of time. Is there anything that you think would be useful for someone listening or like considering high ticket sales, considering the community before we wrap it up?
Um, I would say try it out, until you see some sort of success before you give up on it. Um, because then I feel like you're gonna regret it if you don't try it out and if you don't follow through.
Yeah,
Um, and just put in numbers, like put in volume in terms of interviews, offers that you're applying to. Um, and when you're on the actual offer put in volume
yeah,
in terms of files or messages that you got to send out, whatever it is, just put in volume until you see
yeah.
success, right? Just to get experience and then you can leverage out to different opportunities. You just want to get
Right.
something first.
Yeah, dude. And I mean, a lot of people think high ticket sales is like some fairy dust thing. It's like, no, dude, it's a sales job. Like
Yeah.
it's not like, yes, there's certain tips and tricks to land the better ones and to perform well, but it's like if you think this is like not real, it doesn't exist. It's like you're living under a rock. Really, you just need to
Yeah.
get connected with the right people, and with the high ticket sales stuff, it's very like underground, right? Like you have to know the
Mhm.
right people. You don't go on Indeed and find these jobs, you know.
Yeah, yeah, no. And I
So
actually tried that out. I was like, oh, let me see what pops out. And it's like nothing like that.
yeah, yeah. Well, no, dude, I appreciate you hopping on. We'll cut it here, but any of you guys are interested in starting with high ticket sales, hopping into the community, message on Instagram, Twitter, all the places.
Yeah.
You guys like Marco. I mean, Marco's just one guy in there crushing it, but like there's
Yeah,
a
there's a
lot.
ton of guys.
There's a lot of guys crushing it. So if you watch this far, I appreciate you. And Marco, thank you for your time, man.
Yeah, of course, man. And they can reach out to me with whatever questions they have if they want, you know. I'll
For sure.
be happy to answer them.
Cool. All right, man.